Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Funnel Trade. So I got a question from a patron earlier this morning, and I thought it was really great that I'd make a video about it. It was basically if you have the opportunity today to buy a Chilling Reign booster box at $500 or a Spider-Man collector box at $800, what do you think is the better mix of long-term risk, downside potential, upside potential, and the like? And so both of those prices are a little bit below the current market price, but maybe a guy's got some hookups and he can get those boxes for those kind of prices. Now, I got really excited when I saw this question because first I thought, oh, that'll make a great video. But second, it's asking the correct questions and it's thinking in the correct way of, okay, what's the downside risk? What's the upside potential? Where do I allocate money between different assets in order to try to create the best possible average outcome in the long term? And so the way that I look at these two particular boxes is what is the sensitivity, the price sensitivity of each box to the destruction of one additional box. And so let's kind of break that open and talk about what that means. So Chilling Reign, this was a what, 2022, 2021 or 2022 product. It has been out of print for a couple of years. It did get some decent reprinting late in the Sword and Shield era when they were really cranking out all the V boxes and tins and collections and those kind of products. Man, they printed gobs of booster packs of all those earlier sets to fill those and to get those back out into the distribution system. But the reality is, no Chilling Reign booster packs have been created in the world in a couple of years now. And you look at Spider-Man. Well, Spider-Man has yet to be released. We've got 3 or 4 weeks until it comes out. The collector boxes have certainly or almost certainly already been produced, or they're at the tail end of production now. Either way, nearly zero Spider-Man boxes, collector boxes, have been opened yet. Probably a few have been opened just for quality assurance, and a couple stolen from the factory or from distribution have been opened, but the number rounds to zero. Where Chilling Reign has been out of print for multiple years, and the number left in the world is very low. So nearly every Spider-Man collector box that has been or will ever be produced is still in existence today. So if you destroy one box today of Spider-Man, the market price of the remaining boxes is very insensitive to that because very few have been destroyed yet. Now, yes, there will come a time here 4 weeks from now when there will be a wild orgy of box destruction on the day of release and for a couple of weeks afterwards as people destroy the boxes as fast as they can get their hands on them. But Chilling Reign has long since gone through that point and gone way, way, way past it. Where if you take one of these scant remaining Chilling Reign booster boxes that is available still in the world today and you destroy it, the market will have a bigger reaction to that one additional marginal box being destroyed. And so further down the line, do we still expect that to be the case? Well, we've looked at long-term Pokemon booster box price performance on this channel many times in the past, and it's on the Kanban board to visit it twice a year forever going forward. And what we've seen again and again and again is that Pokemon booster boxes return typically 20 to 30 to 40% compound annual growth rate over their entire lives. Okay, well, I mean, that's very, very respectable. These are scarce collectibles that people destroy for fun. Those kind of returns aren't unheard of. What will Spider Man do? Well, the history is not entirely there yet. We look at the best performing Magic collector boxes. First off, Magic collector boxes are barely 5 years old at this point. We look at the best performing one, Lord of the Rings Special Edition. The second best performing is probably Final Fantasy, and that's from this year. Maybe we might say the best performing in terms of equal points in their own respective lifetimes is the yet to be released Avatar collector box. So we may not even have data yet on what will be the best performing box. Avatar collector boxes are pushing nearly $1,000 in the market, and we still have 12 weeks until they come out. Okay. So it's a little harder to say in terms of long term historical data analysis. What will these collector boxes do? But they are similarly scarce collectibles that people destroy for fun. Some of the more recent ones and the better performers are tied to popular IPs, and we expect them to do well in the long term. But we don't have the kind of price history that we can go and objectively measure the way we can with Pokemon. And so, not only do I think that Chilling Reign, one, there's fewer boxes of it left in the world today. The sensitivity of the price to one additional box being destroyed is much greater than Spider-Man is right now. But also, we do have those historical data of what the box prices do over the long term. And while Spider-Man could turn out, and collector boxes in general could turn out to be even better performers than Pokemon booster boxes have been over their history, we don't know yet if they will be. And so it's a risk that they may not be. That 20 years down the line, Craig puts up the video and he says, well, now we have 25 years of collector box data, and we can say that, on average, they return 15 to 25% CAGR, where Pokemon boxes are 20 to 40% CAGR. But we just don't know yet. There are possible futures where they outdo Pokemon booster boxes, and there's possible futures where they underperform Pokemon booster boxes. And so you have to decide, do you think those possible futures will work out for you? Is it even within your risk profile to take that bet? Because if we just look on the other aspects where Killing Rain is an older product, there's less of it in the world right now, and the price sensitivity is much greater to the destruction of one additional marginal box. Man, Pokemon looks a lot better. The Chilling Rain booster box at $500 looks a lot better than the Spider-Man box at $800. But if you are ultra optimistic on Magic, on collector boxes, on Universes Beyond, on Spider-Man, and on the Magic Spider-Man Universes collector box, then, well, maybe you think that's the better bet in the long term. For me, if someone was saying, do I want to spend, let's say, $4,000 to buy 8 Chilling Reign boxes or $4,000 to buy 5 Spider-Man boxes, I'd probably buy the Chilling Reign boxes. That's the one that I would expect to be the more conservative bet, to have the better odds of coming out ahead in the long run. But it's a great question because it shows you're thinking the right things. You're thinking, what is the risk? And when it comes to the risk of these two particular products, man, I think the risk profile over the medium term is vastly different. Okay. We had a cute little mini Pokemon, kind of a bearish market on Sword and Shield products earlier this year. You can go back to TCG Player, just look at the 1 year plots and see, about half of the Sword and Shield booster boxes went down for a little while, but how much did they go down? 10, 15% on some of them? Some of them single digit percent, and some of them didn't even experience it. And again, this comes back to the price sensitivity. If you have let's say you have a housing market meltdown and the price of houses just plummets like it did back in 2009, 2010. Okay. People aren't running up and down their street torching their houses when this happens. And so the supply of houses in the world just keeps going up every day. There's not a single day in America that the number of houses goes down. It goes up every day. But these assets, these TCG products, sealed products specifically, these are different. Once they go out of print, the number of them in the world only goes down every day. And so even if you have a meltdown of the TCG market, even if you have a meltdown of the Pokemon market, and specifically of the Sword and Shield market, how much can prices actually get hurt at this point? Because the number of boxes in the world is going to keep going down. Where If you have that housing market meltdown, well, you have the meltdown for whatever factors caused the meltdown, and you still have an increasing supply of houses every day. The supply keeps going up. And so it's totally different dynamics. And if you have this potential Chilling Rain box compared to this potential Spider-Man collector box, well, that Chilling Rain box, golly, in a terrible bear market, maybe it would do so bad that it would lose $50. You know, I looked out there before I filmed this video, and even though the patron was saying he could get them for $500 from whoever he's working with, well, the market price for a Chilling Rain box today is $585. You know what? I don't think Chilling Rain ever sees $500 again. Now, if we go into a recession and we go into a TCG bear market and a Magic bear market, Spider-Man boxes, if all of these potential negative things happen before the end of this year, maybe there will be enough Spider-Man boxes still left in the world by the end of this calendar year that they could drop from, who knows, $1,200 to $900. Maybe you would have 25% potential downside in a deep bear market if we manage to get into one by the end of this calendar year. Where with Chilling Rain boxes, the number left in the world is so small and still going down every day. Maybe we see a 10% pullback in a very deep and harsh bear market. And so the downside potential, I feel, is much less on just something with the characteristics of that Pokemon box compared to a yet to be released Magic collector box. Just because that Chilling Rain, there are so many fewer of them left in the world today. Just so few. Are there 5,000, 10,000, maybe as many as 20,000? But Spider-Man collector boxes, there's probably 200,000 of them sitting in warehouses right now. So that's what I think. I think the downside risk on the Chilling Rain box is much lower. And I think the upside potential that we can be reasonably sure of happening in the future based on our historical analysis of Pokemon box performance over decades is probably a better thing to bet on than the chance that 20 years from now it turns out that Magic collector boxes outperformed Pokemon booster boxes. They may or they may not. We won't know for 20 years. So you have to decide if you want to take that additional risk. Now, obviously, the best thing to do in a situation like this, instead of spending $4,000 on 8 Chilling Rain boxes or $4,000 on 5 Spider-Man boxes, is take your $4,000 and buy 2 Spider-Man boxes for $1,600 and buy 5 Chilling Rain boxes for $2,500. There you go. You split it with a little more push towards the Chilling Rain boxes that you may have uh, a little more conviction in for the long term. But that way, you at least hedge yourself against your analysis being proven wrong in the future. Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks to everyone who makes this content possible, especially those great patrons who ask questions like this. That's just a great question. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade. Buy a hat.